Alright, let me get this out of the way. I tried to like Bloodborne when it came out the first time. I really did. 2-3 times I booted this thing up, created a new character, and every single time I bounced off harder than an anorexic chick on a trampoline. I remember the hype train when this dropped. Everyone was foaming at the mouth like they'd just been baptized by Shifu Miyazaki's bathwater, masterpiece, game of the generation, the game worth buying the PS4 for. That's probably the only one. I myself felt a little bit disappointed and underwhelmed. I thought I was an RPG guy. I'm talking about Oblivion, Morrowind, Knights of the Old Republic, New Vegas, Fallout 3, Mass Effect, and I expected something similar. At least driving in the same lane as those other games. Especially as Bloodborne being advertised as an action RPG, so I thought, okay, I love Oblivion, I love Mass Effect, I love Fallout 3. Why wouldn't I like Bloodborne? Well, I didn't. First of all, I wasn't very good at the game at all. I sucked at the game. I sucked harder than an OnlyFans thought a week before the rent is due. First mistake. Comparing FromSoft games with the games above. I thought it would be the same shtick as in my other favorite RPGs, in which I just grab an anime-sized sword, I swing it around with the graciousness of a wet pool noodle and start bodying enemies left and right. Like in Skyrim. Mash attack, kill some bandit, mash attack, kill some bandits, mash attack, some more bandits, heal, mash attack, kill some wolves. Also, at the time I wasn't impressed with the world building. I expected the game to have all these useless multiple choice dialogue options that go absolutely nowhere and they all branch to the same point in the end. The way the story didn't unravel through the NPC dialogue expositions and 40-minute monologues also rubbed me the wrong way. How can I find more about Pale Blood if I don't click on it and then Alfred explains it to me like I'm a 60-year-old with a helmet and a speech impediment? What else I didn't like? The bosses. They absolutely raw dogged me. I think I died at least 50 times to Papa, Gusk, and the Cleric Beast, and when I finally beat them I didn't feel any pride, any happiness. I felt a feeling of stressful release, like a divorced dad at his kid's birthday party at mama's house being eyed by those middle-aged women whispering, thank fuck it's over. So yeah, I was filtered by the game, hard. It was a humiliating mess. The truth is I wanted my little safe RPG fantasy, I wanted my dialogue wheel, I wanted my quest markers, I wanted for the game to hold my hands. I didn't want to wake up in a dilapidated clinic after being butt-fucked, no lubricant, by a werewolf. So yeah, I even started to believe that maybe the people who like the game are wrong. Maybe the entire gaming ecosystem just broke and went to shit. I mean, it did, but not thanks to Bloodborne. So I dropped it. I left it to rot in my digital backlog next to all the other games I promised myself I'd finish, but never did. Until one day when, well, nothing special happened. I didn't like the new releases in the year of our Lord 2022, so I went back and I loaded it up again. And oh my god, it somehow just clicked. It takes time. It hurts. At first, it is confusing. I died a lot of times again. I had to think outside the box and approach everything with a huge dose of caution. And then, as I said, as my senses adapted, as I learned step by step about the spacing, the timing, the rhythm, as I stopped mashing buttons like a boomer on a poker machine, I went through the initial area 10 times, over and over again, learning the location of every enemy, entering the zone, the ultra instinct in which I take them down one by one, in which I'm becoming unbeatable. And then I stepped onto that bridge with the Cleric Beast on it. First try. Took half of his HP. I did die, But man, I felt prideful. Came back, died. Again, died again. And then on my fourth time, I fucking killed him. I felt like a god. I felt like games are rewarding again because it felt earned. Because Bloodborne is, without exaggeration, the most consistently good game I've ever played. Most other games and RPGs have these sludge segments, those slow, boring, bloated parts that you just need to grit your teeth and plow through, like you're picking up the fat chick at the nightclub after 2 years of not having sex. You don't want to do it. You shouldn't do it. But you do it anyways because you need to use it as an experience to pick up better chicks in the future, no matter how hollow or humiliating it is. The truth is there's no fat chick area in this game that you don't want to replay. Well, some people would disagree, but for me personally, there are parts that are annoying, but even then it feels like it's not a slog. The games that are published nowadays are drenching the players in instant gratification and the feeling of success even if you didn't do anything of value. And that has created a sense of entitlement that diminishes any actual progress to reach the gratification. It's like the new TikTok generation of kids, like my little cousin who didn't had any focus or rest while we were watching the original Indiana Jones movie because it's a slow movie, it is a slow movie, and it's unrewarding at first until you give it some time and you introduce yourself to the characters and you relate yourself to the characters. You know, there is a tendency to just drop it and play something with more colors and more radiant quests or whatever. But this shouldn't be the way. Not only in video games, but also in life. You need to work for your shit. Bloodborne and the other Soul series games feel good because that is how success should feel when you put in that little bit of work to achieve it. Also, it has great art direction, game design, and monster design, which I couldn't appreciate the first time I played the game because again I was raging like a redditor on a fat shaming thread, being triggered at the "get good" comments. Once I stopped seething, once I shut up and paid attention, I started to notice the little things that made the game so free-flowing, those little masterclasses in level design. So we have Central Yarnam, which is supposed to be just a starting area, but everything in this area is made specifically for the player to become confident with the mechanics of the game. Every initial alley, every mob position, every shortcut is placed intentionally to teach you how to survive and how to make your next runs a bit more streamlined and faster. Enemy placement is also amazing. You have the torch-wielding patrolling mobs that initially feel overwhelming, but they become pretty doable once you understand their patterns. You have the single brick troll pounding on the door, like he just heard you misgendered him on Twitter. He's there to teach you how to fight big monsters, how to parry them, and the way they move and the way they attack you. And then you have the two werewolves at the bridge, which are there to filter you in case you're not ready. And of course there's a pig in the sewers just because there needs to be a pig in the sewers, of course. And let's talk bosses. Now, Cleric Beast is there to slap you around until you finally figure out rolling and dodging isn't optional. It's the base of survival. And then you have Papa Gascon, who shows up next to teach you that your little pew-pew gun isn't just there for cosplay. It's the key to the defense and putting this old bastard into the dirt. By the way, the game came out in 2015 and it still looks quite decent even today, 10 years after. Because the way how everything is set visually is, as I said, perfect. Even though the game and the elements in the game are not as interactable with the environments as some other games that I mentioned above. Like, you can't just pick up shitty pants and shears and every piece of armor. But the thing with it is, it doesn't need to. It somehow feels more alive than a lot of games, just because it's deeply rooted in the lore of the game. The gothic Victorian aesthetic really brings this up a notch. Which brings me back to the story. And the story is amazing because it unravels as it should in a video game. Other games are trying to cram as much information into you as soon as you start. You gotta read some books, you gotta listen to this NPC. There are these expositions, hey, have these cutscenes. The thing with Bloodborne, now that I've beaten it 3 times, I still don't understand the story completely. Not only because I'm a smooth-brained idiot, because I am, but because the lore is purposefully obscure and I'm not that autistic to dig deep down into it. But I did watch some of these amazing video essays that give you more insight into the game in order to understand more. And it's amazing what people find out from the environment itself and from the open-endedness of the story. Like, there's a lot of things to debate. Like, there are even discussions where people talk about whether the actual Yarnam is real or not. But, okay, the gist of the story is you play as a hunter who arrives in a creepy gothic city called Yarnam. People here believe the blood of an ancient being can cure diseases, so they've been using this old blood like medicine. But over time started turning people into beasts and monsters. And the city is now a nightmare. It's full of these beasts, and it's your job to hunt them down. But as you dig deeper, you learn that there is something much worse going on. The real cause of the madness isn't just the blood, but cosmic beings, aliens or gods, called the Great Ones. People try to use the blood of these beings to become more powerful or reach higher knowledge, but it backfired horribly. And the world itself seems to be stuck in a nightmare or dream, and your goal shifts from just killing beasts to breaking the cycle of the nightmare. You do this by hunting even the cosmic beings themselves. Now, this story explanation is only bare bones. Once you really get into the lore, you can find about the different characters like Master Willem and his students Lawrence, German, and Ludwig. You can learn about the Chalice dungeons. You can learn about the discovery of the Great Ones. It feels rewarding to uncover some of the story points on your own. I can also mention the mechanics of the game, even though I think after 15 years of Soulsborne or roll slop as they call it nowadays, we all know what it is. Basically, this is a classic Souls-like. The specifics of Bloodborne itself is that in combat aggression is rewarded instead of hiding behind shields. Bloodborne punishes passivity. You have a short window to strike back and regain lost health, which pushes you to play aggressively. Also, the weapons arsenal is quite interesting, and your main weapons are called trick weapons. They have two modes you can switch between on the fly, which makes one weapon feel like two, giving you flexibility without needing to switch your gear constantly. I think this is the first from Souls-like game that doesn't have a shield. And instead of a shield, you get firearms like pistols and shotguns, which are there for interrupting enemies mid-attack. If you shoot an enemy at just the right moment, you can stagger them, opening them up for a visceral attack, which is a powerful execution style move. You dodge and move as you would in a Souls-like. You manage stamina as you would in a Souls-like. I mentioned already, this feels like a complete experience. It feels like the developers did a project that they were extremely passionate about and they delivered on it. It's not rushed. It's not over-engineered. It has no underlying agenda behind the story. It's a game you're supposed to play as a game and enjoy it as a game. Not a movie, not a book, a game. It's amazing the way how you slowly piece together the cosmic horror twist, how you unravel the spooky Lovecraftian atmosphere on your own accord, if you really want to explore. You find every little note and you analyze every little interaction, every little element of world building. There is nothing I hate about Bloodborne, as I said. It must be one of the most amazing games released in the last 10 years. And it actually opened my eyes to the whole genre of Souls-like games. I want games in which I bleed. I want a game that respects my time and a game that requires respect from me. And if that makes me a simp for Bloodborne, so be it. I love this game.